Hello everyone, it is Dani'i and welcome to this update video. And so we will be talking about these three systems across the Atlantic. So we have Fiona, which is still a threat to land, as well as these two disturbances. That one might become something out there in the open waters of the Atlantic, but the Caribbean will certainly be impacted by this disturbance down here. And so guys, before I go into details, please do subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you never miss an update video on the tropics. In doing so, you are also supporting the channel, and you can also show your support by leaving a thumbs up on this video. Alright, and so let's go ahead and get into what is happening out there, and we will be beginning with this first disturbance, which is actually designated as Invest 97L. And looking at the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center, we're seeing here that it is given a 60% chance to develop. So the chance for this one was quite low for some time, but now here we have it haven't increased, and this is the 2 a.m. update, so maybe by 8 a.m. the chance will be raised to 70% for it. And so if this one develops into a tropical cyclone, it will acquire the name Gaston if it achieves maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour or more, since that's the threshold for a tropical storm. And so now let's go ahead and move on to Hurricane Fiona. So Fiona isn't the healthiest storm, and you are actually looking at the first major hurricane of the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season. So Fiona is battling a bit of unfavorable conditions out there, so it's not looking the healthiest right now. However, it is expected to intensify, and the National Hurricane Center expects peak winds of 140 miles per hour. That is a destructive, a devastating category 4 hurricane that is anticipated, and tropical storm impacts from the cyclone are likely still affecting portions of the Dominican Republic, but of course, as Fiona accelerates away, those impacts should definitely decrease, and some areas are still under warnings. So here we're looking at the cone forecast for it. So in red, we have the Turks and Caicos Islands under hurricane warning, and of course, they're in very close proximity to the cyclone right now, and thus likely to experience dangerous hurricane conditions as Fiona makes its way slowly up to the north-northwest and then make that curve out to the northeast. And then the southeastern Bahamas are under tropical storm warning, so it's likely that tropical storm conditions will be felt throughout these regions. And so of course, as Fiona is going to be making its way by and making its way up to the north, and as I said, to the northeast, it is going to likely increase in its acceleration. However, it will be very close to the island of Bermuda, likely by Friday, as a major hurricane. And so at such an incredible intensity near the island, it is likely that maybe a hurricane warning will be required as we progress later down into this week. So Bermuda, you should definitely be keeping an eye on this, but of course Fiona should quickly make its way up to the north and affect maybe portions of North America as a post-tropical cyclone. So portions of the Northern Caribbean, including of course Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Leeward Islands, really got affected by this. But now something is heading for the portions of the southeastern Caribbean, which really includes the Windward Islands, and that is this disturbance here. So this one is given a 40% chance to possibly develop. You guys, if you watched my update video yesterday, you guys would have seen where I mentioned that the tropical wave was expected to develop based on what the models were expecting, and now here we have it being identified as a disturbance out there. So it is likely to affect portions of the Caribbean as we're going to be heading into the latter part of this week, and then it could make its way into the region and accelerate generally westward. And so other areas, maybe such as Central America, and I would say even Jamaica, should be keeping an eye on this because it could become a problem for the area. We saw how Fiona rapidly got itself together, and favorable conditions are likely up ahead for this system. So as I speak about that, let's go ahead and take a look at what the various models are expecting for this as we're going to be heading into the latter part of this week. And so here we have Euro, and so this is by Sunday the 25th of September, and those black lines that you're seeing, those contour lines, are isobars, and when they are in very close proximity to each other in a circular manner, with the pressure being at least 10-13 millibars or lower, we could be looking at a low pressure system. And so that is what is usually associated with tropical cyclones. And so here we have a low pressure area, 1006 millibar low pressure area developing well to the south Gulf of Jamaica. So Euro isn't expecting rapid development of this one between now and Sunday. But headed to Tuesday, we see some intensification in the northwestern Caribbean here. We have a lower pressure, and those isobars are kind of coming closer together. And then headed to Thursday of next week on the 29th of September, here we have some intensification, and this system is heading into the Gulf of Mexico. And we know what happens to tropical cyclones that enter the Gulf of Mexico once conditions are favorable. Rapid intensification. So that could be the possible outcome with this system if it makes its way into the Gulf and there are favorable conditions there. But of course, only time will tell where exactly it's going to go, because there is no certainty as of right now. And then headed to GFS. Now, GFS is expected something a little bit different here. So by Wednesday the 21st, tomorrow, the model is expecting rapid development of the wave and shows it crossing over the Windward Islands and into the Caribbean by Thursday. And it is actually a tropical storm at this point as per GFS. And then headed to Monday of next week on the 26th of the month, the model is showing that we're going to be having this system with a pressure of 957 millibars. Just look at how close those isobars are. This represents a steep gradient, which means that there are very strong winds associated with the system. So the model has this very close to Jamaica, and that is Jamaica is an area that should definitely be keeping watch on that system. Of course, there is no guarantee that the island will be impacted, or what we're seeing now will be the outcome, because it is just too far out to tell. But headed to Tuesday, we see that we have the system now making its way into the vicinity of the Cayman Islands, and then moving on to Icon. By Thursday of this week, the model is expecting that the wave is going to be crossing into the Caribbean. However, it does not show any major development headed to Sunday, the 25th of the month. And so, guys, there's so many possibilities on the table right now. And after, say, 5 days, when we're really looking at model runs like this, there are bound to be changes with each update, because nothing that we're seeing is guaranteed to happen. And of course, there are always changes when it comes on to the weather. So I would say that areas in the Western Caribbean should be keeping an eye on this. So Jamaica, even the Cayman Islands, I would even say Central America, and then to more of an extent, maybe the Gulf Coast will have to be watching this as well. However, as this tropical wave is going to be making its way into the Caribbean, it is likely that maybe by Thursday thereabouts, there will likely be increased precipitation in the Windward Islands, and with prolonged periods of very heavy rainfall, that can lead to some flash flooding in flood-prone areas. And so, guys, please be aware of that happening as the wave is going to be entering the region. But of course, as time goes by, I'm going to be keeping you guys updated. And so that is really it for this update video. And so you can share your thoughts in the comments on the system, or if you have any questions, I'll try to respond as best and as soon as I can. And of course, remember to always be weatherwise.